And this show has won a Tony Award, a Pulitzer Prize, and a Drama Desk Award, and now it is making its way to Lansing. And just two of the many people working to put on Riverwalk Theatre's Angels in America are here, and they're joining us today. Let's give a warm Studio 10 welcome to Heath Sartorius and Mike Stewart. Thank you guys for sitting down with us. How are you?
Thank you so much, Rochelle. We're good.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here. I know those opening night jitters are getting louder and you're feeling
closer.
them more.
Got one more rehearsal tonight, so we'll kill it for an empty house and then hopefully have more people after that.
Yes, you most certainly will. And with that being said, this show has made such an impact, Angels in America, in the theatrical industry. But talk about what this story means to the both of you. And Heath, if you could start first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've often thought of it as one of the best plays of the 20th century. I love it. I mean, I think it's great because there's a lot of grandness to it and spectacle, but there's also a lot of intimacy, so it really spans the gambit and has both of that in there. And it deals with really important themes. It's set in 1985, so there's themes of homosexuality and AIDS. There's Reaganomics and politics, but also religion and spirituality. And I think it culminates a lot of these grand ideas into a big story that just has a lot of magic in that room.
A lot of magic. And Mike, what does it mean to you, especially today, to tell this story?
Oh, well, you know, I lived through that time, and I lived in New York City at that time in 1985. But I think what is most important to me is the technical side of everything, how it all comes together, the magic of it. We have so many special effects during this show, and everybody's going to love it when they come and see it.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to get into that. But Heath, I want to ask you, you play a role on stage.
Yeah.
You play the role of Lewis. So how do you make sure, especially because this show deals with such heavy themes that you mentioned, how do you make sure you don't lose yourself in that character and in all that magic, too?
Oh, I want to lose myself in the character and all that magic. I mean, that's the good feeling, is you really feel it, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a beating in my chest and a tightness, and I think I'm going to cry. And you get back to the green room with the other actors, and you go, oh, I was about to cry. It felt great. So you just know you're doing a potent job, a powerful job. So I want to lose myself in a sense. I'm not going to be one of those, you know, method actors who flies off and throws a chair for no reason. I'm grounded, but hopefully you do.
Shows how powerful the performance is.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. And Mike, you play a very special role behind the scenes as well. Talk about the special effects that you're working on.
Mostly Bob Gellis has done most of the special effects for us. We have several different things that go on, including a burning book that pops up out of the middle of the stage. We have people who actually appear and disappear and appear, and ghosts and everything else. So we have some pretty neat stuff going on.
Yeah, and how does special effects kind of help carry the story, too?
Well, it's actually a part of that story because Lewis and Luca, who's in the show, they are driven by some of that special effects that comes through. So you know, it just adds that little bit of extra to the show itself.
I love that, and I love seeing the passion from the both of you about how excited you are for this show, and especially because, again, during this time it has those powerful themes that still resonate with a lot of people today. What do you think people in Mid-Michigan will take from this?
Well, hopefully, I mean, I think for half of the audience, it's going to be a memory of what happened then, for if they were old enough to remember it, and it talks about things that weren't talked enough about back then. You know, like the AIDS crisis was highly ignored. And I think for younger people, it'll be a historical document. And you know, there's so much strides in like the LGBTQ community that have happened that they'll realize that there was this sacrifice and this struggle that they weren't even around for.
Wow. And of course, you guys have a special performance tomorrow, really quickly, if you could tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have 8 performances, but technically a 9th, because tomorrow, what would normally be our final dress, we have the Lansing Area AIDS Network. All the proceeds and the tickets there will go to help the fundraising for the Lansing Area AIDS Network.
I love that. We'll break a leg to the both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for honestly really telling this story on stage that so many people need to hear. And of course, we have that information as to when the show runs and how you can see Angels in America at Riverwalk Theatre. And speaking of Angels,